Hey, I'm Walter. I am a on-location studio portrait photographer in the greater Boston area. I love using NANLITE continuous lights. I own a bunch of them, one of them being a Forza 500, which accepts 26-volt batteries. I got those last week, along with the dual charger. I have a video about why I like dual chargers. The session began in the morning before sunrise. I got there about an hour and 20 minutes before sunrise. I set up my outdoor studio. As you see on the left-hand side, that's a Forza 500. Wes is holding a Forza 60 with some batteries, just to add a little bit of accent light. So, early morning, very cold. The batteries lasted the whole time. I had the Forza 500 on full blast. The Leonard P. Zychem Bunker Hill Memorial Bridge looked stunning. My wife and I went there scouting about 4 or 5 days before the session just to find a good spot. Parking was okay. I got a nice spot. I have a rolling case I put all my stuff on. Then set up the session. I wouldn't be able to do this without these batteries. So these two batteries lasted me the whole time, full power for this session, which I'll start now. Shouldn't be too bad. I had the Forza 500 as my main light. I used a Lastalite silver white halo silver side. My camera was a Sony A7RIV. And Wes is holding, towards the end of the session, a Forza 60 with 2 batteries. I go through a lot of batteries. So let's play the video. I'll do some talking over.
Squeeze your mouth a little bit. Can you face this way a little bit?
So this is Wes. I was doing a little joke where I'm outside, but let's try my Lastalite backdrop.
Focus back up a little bit. Can you face that? Go back that way.
This is Max.
Come this way.
I photographed both of these guys beforehand.
Your tag.
Max had a tag showing, so I'm a little OCD about tags. This camera is my Sony ZV-1. As you can tell by my breath, it was very nippy out. I run a little hot, so during the session, I didn't
the backdrop.
too cold. I did ask Wes to move the backdrop out, and what I ended up doing,
change the backdrop,
captured the portraits, but I also
thank you, Wes,
will burn in the background.
That was my little jokiness. I'm not sure how it's gonna play.
I had 2 cameras going for the behind the scenes, one being another A7R4. Both cameras, all 3 cameras had a Atomos Ninja V, one recording the BTS from behind, the other one on the side, and then as you see, lower right hand corner, that's going through the lens. I'm mostly Dutch, so that's a Cambo Red Wing boom on, which I love, and I have that with me. Very easy to set up. I just wanted to get a little closer, get a lower angle to be able to get the shot. One of the things I'm all about is being more efficient, so this Gitsu tripod mounted in with ball head allows me to quickly set up. It's very lightweight. This Lastalite EasyBox 2 medium was very easy to set up, and breaking down is a little bit harder because you have to be able to twist it, but still, I love that light. It takes up very little space. For me, being on location, it's all about being more efficient and I have a lot of gear and I need to be able to transport it. So that's an ongoing quest for me to be more efficient, packing gear so it doesn't fall off. As you see, I'm basically just increasing the f-stop so I can get the sky in. Luckily, I did landscape and wedding photography, so knowing that I have to get the subject and then get the background. I asked both people not to move, and I just burned in the background. I always capture in RAW. The A7R4 has an amazing dynamic range. West was very cold. That's one of the negatives of having very low body fat. I, on the other hand, was cold only when I stopped moving. I'd rather be cold and have less body fat. Where we were was a jogging path, so we tried not to block it. So I still had another light I could have set up, but I wanted to capture the sunrise. And having the one light was good, but then a little bit later on, I did break out the Forza 60. I think I might go over to the right side. Still very nippy. And once again, I increased the f-stop to burn in the sky, get the sunrise. That's why we got up early. I do use this Sony remote control. I try not to be behind the camera. I like to look people in the face. It opens up dialogue and makes them hopefully feel less aware of being photographed. I did speed up this. I'm like, I really just I have it, so I'm going to use it. So Max is getting a Forza 60 Fresnel. It has a mini Bowens mount, even though it's not a Bowens mount, but it's like a Bowens mount. So everything that NANLITE has for the Forza and the FS series uses Bowens mounts. So mentally it's the same, muscle memory. Takes 2 batteries, and I basically I wanted to get the sunrise. Just jack it all the way up on full power. I have the barn doors, and since you can see the light, just basically I mentioned to Max and then later on West, just put the light in the face. This is more like a accent. It was definitely cold. I'm not going to even remotely say it wasn't cold. What's nice about these lights is they don't change color balance, so they're very consistent. If you look at hundreds of photos, they all have the same color balance. So I hated when I had lights that shifted on me. If you're doing big production work and photographing a lot of people, for workflow, it's just better to have consistent Kelvin or white balance.
It's a little excessive, but
I know.
I chit-chat the whole time.
But you go a little bit closer. Right? Raise it up a little higher. Right in the face.
I did also receive the new ATM Mini Extreme, which I'm learning how to use. Has a lot of buttons, so hopefully on channel 2, it's the slideshow that's happening. And there's a thing called AFB, and that is hopefully allows the sound to go through to the podium.
Making the background dark.
Like I mentioned before, just basically change the f-stop to burn in the background. Since we got up early, I did take more images than I normally would because it was cold and the breath was coming out, and I really tried to get one good image without all the breathing. So if I take a few images, and luckily on that breathing at that moment, I won't have the breath coming out. I think once we started from start to finish, it was about 45 minutes. trying to work as fast as I can. As I stayed there and not jumping and moving around, I also got a little nippy. But they were troops. They did a great job. And then right after the session, packed everything up, put it back in the cart, and then packed it up and got home to a little nap. So that was the temperature of that day. It was definitely nippy. After the session, once I calmed down, I ended up putting my gloves on.
Overlooking Boston. All right.